We here on Stichfield are one of the first programs to tell you that the Russians, yes, Russians, are leading the Iran nuclear deal talks with the United States. The Russians, let that sink in. It is an outrage that we would defer to Russia at a time when they are literally waging war on not just Ukraine, but really the free world. But this is what we get from Team Biden, a weak America that empowers, emboldens, and strengthens our enemies' capabilities. Listen to this from the Russian diplomat leading the Iran nuclear talks with the United States.
Judging by circumstances, of course, there are wishful thinking. To get everything, realistically speaking, Iran got more than, frankly, I expected, others expected.
Iran got more than Russia expected and they expected. What in the world are the United States negotiators doing? We are giving Iran more than they expected. The real question is, why are we giving them anything? As America lifts sanctions against Iran, which we shouldn't be, they will use the billions of dollars to not just fund their terror groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, but they will fund the swift creation of a nuclear bomb. Almost everyone I have talked to is in agreement with me on this. And even worse, this deal only allows for more trade between Russia, Iran, and China. You see a theme here building tonight, folks? Meaning we are allowing the funding of the destruction of the world. And I don't say this as a joke at all. To tell us just how dangerous our emboldened enemies are right now is a former special advisor regarding issues about Iran at the State Department. The man who broke this story about Russia leading the talks is Gabriel Noronha. Gabriel, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on, Grant. And no, you're not being exaggerating at all. I was actually listening to Iranian state TV when I came upon the clip that you showed. And for 22 minutes, the Russian ambassador was bragging about how he was standing up for Iranian interests at the negotiations in Vienna. He was bragging about how they were coordinated with China in the talks and that how they had played the United States and Europe dozens of times, he said, to get victories at the negotiating table. And as your viewers heard, he said that Iran got much more than anyone could have expected at the deal. He said much more, that's just a real fact. And so, the American public and Congress hasn't yet seen all the details. Some of them are being withheld. But I've had a chance to talk to some people familiar with the details. And from everything I've seen, I can tell you it is much, much worse than the deal President Obama negotiated in 2015. This deal lifts far more sanctions on Iran, and it sets it on a clear pathway to a nuclear weapon in just 9 years from now.
Gabriel, first off, I want to thank you because before you came on this program, it was slightly talked about. Since then, since you came on, it's been widely talked about now. It's only people are now starting to wake up, and I credit you for that. You worked inside the State Department. I realize the State Department, even under President Trump, was still one of the most liberal agencies in the United States government. But how is anyone with any common sense, even a leftist, thinking this is a good idea? What is the thinking inside the State Department right now?
Well, this isn't even a Republican or Democrat issue right now. This is a common sense issue. And so 3 diplomats have resigned from the negotiating team that the United States has. That includes 2 of President Biden's own political appointees who have stepped down and asked to be removed from the team because they are so concerned at the capitulations and concessions that are being made. And so when that didn't stop Secretary Blinken from recalling Robert Malley, career officials from across the U.S. government have been, essentially trying to ring the warning bells and tell the American public and Congress just how bad this deal is. And so, these are terrorists being lifted from sanctions list, torturers, human rights abusers, and some of the organizations that have killed hundreds on hundreds of American soldiers in Iraq and in Lebanon.
Gabriel, when we talk about the destruction of the world and a deal like this going through leading to that happening, I don't know what else to think than it is a conscious effort to put America in a compromising position. How else can you figure out what Joe Biden is doing from the White House?
You know, it's been hard. I've been asked this question from a lot of people. Why are they doing this? And I've really struggled to answer this at all. At no point have they come out publicly and justified their approach. They barely do any press engagement. They're actually quite happy, I think coincidentally, they're not happy that Russia's invading Ukraine, but they're happy that that story is giving all the attention away from Iran so that people don't really look at the details that are happening here. And so they don't want to talk about this because this is not a diplomatic win for them. This is going to be a massive loss, and I think they're going to try to put it under the table as much as they can.
Gabriel, there's not a lot of stories that make my stomach churn. We do a lot of negative stories on this, of leftists pushing very negative things in this country. But this one makes my stomach churn because I do believe people could get killed over it. And if it is actively being pushed and they know people can get killed over it, Americans get killed over it, that makes it all the more worse, even criminal in nature. Gabriel Noronha, please keep us informed on this. We really are using you as a real source of information. Thank you, sir.